Hello and welcome back to Data Analysis and Visualization. I'm Javita Christie, and in this video, we are going to explore SVG, which stands for Scalable Vector Graphics, and can be used to create complex shapes on your canvas in the browser. And we're going to use this using D3.js library. So once again, to do that, we need to write an HTML code. So this is my HTML file and I'm using Notepad++ as usual, as I've done in the previous videos. And remember to save your file as a .html file, and every time you make any changes to the file, please click on Control S or just do it from here, File and Save. So make sure your file is always saved. And one way to do that is to check if this is red. If it's red, that means there are some changes not saved yet. So once you've saved your file, you can go to Chrome, Google Chrome, and open that file. So if you just open that file, wherever the file is located, if you just right click and click on Open with Chrome, then the file will open right here. You can see right now it's blank because there is nothing there is no code written yet. So once I write some code, you'll be able to see some changes over there. So now this is my file. You can name your file whatever you like, so long as the extension is .html. I would recommend that you first save the file in .html and then start typing new code, because you see all these colors are going to help you to write better code. So now, first of all, we begin with the HTML tag and then the head tag, where I'm just going to give a title. So what happens here, this is the title that's going to come on your bar right here. Let me show you. So this bar that you see, that's the one. I don't know if you can see it, but that's the bar which you see whenever you open a new tab in Chrome. The bar right on that tab that shows you the name of the tab is the bar that gets affected by this title tag. Next, we are going to get our script tag, and here we are going to write the source of D3.js. Now I'm using version 3, and depending on the version that you want to use, you should go ahead and copy the link from you'll find the link online. You just have to Google it. So this is the link, and okay, so this is the link, d3.js.org, and this is my version. So I've copied that. And once that's ready, now all you need to do is to close the script tag, because I have imported this. So make sure that while running all your code, you do have an internet connection, that your laptop is connected to a Wi-Fi or internet, because otherwise this library is not going to load and your code will not give you any output. So that's it. We can now go ahead and close the head tag right here. Now, indentation in this type of code is not really meaningful programmatically, but it's meaningful when you read the code. So keeping good indentation and following good programming practices will only help you to understand your code better, and someone else as well if they are working with you. So next we write the body code. Most of the time we put all our script tags and all our main important code inside the body. Sometimes we put that in the head section as well. Okay, I'm going to show you that in one of the later videos. But in this one, we are going to put it in the body section. So now I'm going to just put a header and say SVG shapes, because we are going to just work with some shapes here. And for now, I'm just going to close the body tag and the HTML tag and just go to Chrome and see what that looks like. So this is what it looks like currently. You can see SVG shapes, which is the header 1 tag, which means it's got some sort of a bigger font size and style compared to your normal text. So now what we're going to do here is write the rest of the code. Now to work with SVG, you have to first specify what kind of a canvas you want. What should be the length and the breadth of the canvas. So it's essentially the width and the height. Okay, width is how broad it is and height is how tall it is. So you get to specify that over here. So I'm just going to go with a width of 400 and a height of about 400. So it's a 400 by 400 canvas. You can also go ahead and specify the style if you like. So you can have a style, and within the style you can specify the background that you want. So I'm going to do this down here because I'm going to specify other things as well. So the background that I want, you can specify anything over here. You can mention a color. You can use RGB values, and you can use hexadecimals. So what I'm going to use is hexadecimal. This is for the color gray. So this is the color gray, and all this should come into double quotes. So here double quotes and close this angular bracket, and then we can close this just so that I can show this to you. So remember to save, and let me show it to you. So currently you cannot see much because we haven't drawn anything yet. But once we start drawing anything, you'll understand what exactly is happening and how this is working. So now let's say that I want to create a rectangle. Okay, I want to create a rectangle shape. So what I'll do is I'll just go into this SVG/SVG which I had created, and just write rect, which is how you can create a rectangle, and specify the width of the rectangle. Remember length and breadth. So the width is 300. The height also I want to make it 300, so it's probably a square, not a rectangle. And then you can specify the style. So now once you have the style, you get to say what kind of border your rectangle can have, what kind of fill it can have, okay, what kind of color it can have. So things like that. I'm just going to this time use RGB values just so you get familiar with all types of values that can be used. So the RGB value, I want to make it 255, 0, 0. You'll know what that color is once we run this code. And I also want to provide stroke. So once again, stroke, and this time I want to give a 0, 0. So this essentially means the border that you want to give. And all these are semicolon separated values. So this is the stroke. Next, you can specify stroke width. So stroke width means the thickness of the border. So this is given here. And you can specify X and Y coordinates. So let me show that to you a little bit later. For now, let's close this tag. You don't need to write a /rect tag. You just have to close it here. And let's run it. So right now what I can see is this this sort of a rectangle that looks like this. Okay. And I forgot the equal to here, so that's why it is showing in this manner. So you can see how the color changes. That helps you to understand that your code is correct. So let's go back and run this. And yes, now it's correct. So the 255, 00 is the red color. And you can see there's a, if you just notice very closely, there's a black border, which is the other color I mentioned for the stroke. You can increase or decrease the width to see the color more clearly. So I've made it 4 now. Let's see. So you can see now it's a lot thicker. So this is essentially how your thing works, how SVG creates shapes. But now I don't want my rectangle to be in this position. I want to specify X and Y coordinates. And you can do that by just writing X and specifying some value. So I want X to be 50. I want Y to be 50. So it will indeed change those values. Now notice that the style tag contains practically everything from here to here. And X and Y are just more attributes like width and height and background. So those are added here. And let's run this. So you can see how the rectangle has now moved to some position which is 50-50. So 50x and 50y coordinates. Now let's go ahead and create another shape in SVG. So once again, I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. And everything is the same except I'm going to change this one and specify a circle. Now, when you specify a circle, you can specify again the X and Y coordinates as before. Now, this is your circle's X coordinate, so I'm going to make it 250. EY stands for the Y coordinate, 250. And R, you can guess it's the radius. Okay. I also want to give it a border, so the stroke color, I want that to be black. So that is the stroke. Then you can specify how wide it's going to be, how thick the border is going to be. So let's make the width 1, and this time for the color, or sorry, for the fill, I'm going to use the name of the color directly. So I'm going to use yellow. So this time there is no hexadecimal, there is no RGB value, it's directly the name of the color. So just so you know that you can specify color in all the 3 formats, whatever you like, RGB, hexadecimal, or yellow. If you have a color and you do not know what exactly its RGB value will be, you could just go ahead online and check it. And you could also use your paintbrush program in your Windows, and you can just open that, and if you have a particular shade that you like, you can just click on it and you'll probably get the RGB values. So that way you can directly supply those. You don't need to know the name of the color. If you know the name of the color, you can directly put it, but if you don't, then you can just specify RGB or hexadecimal values. Now, let's run this code again. And you can see there's a small circle created here because I mentioned X and Y as 250, 250, so which is why the circle is right here with a radius of 40. And of course, you could make changes to it and play around with it. So this is how you can create simple shapes in SVG using the D3.js library. Now, that's not it. The code that we've just written here is not exactly the type of code that you would write normally with a proper program. So usually this is a great way to understand the code, but there are different ways of writing the same kind of code, and I'm going to show that to you now. So this was a simple demo of SVG. We are going to now change this code and slightly, using the D3.js library, we're going to involve that into creating this type of a code. So we are going to use SVG, but we are going to introduce the D3.js library and use more of the functions of D3.js in creating this type of a code. So to do that, now I'm going to remove part of this code. So if you would like to, pause, take a screenshot, or just pause and try it out on your own, then this would be a great time. So now I'm going to remove some of the code, everything from here to here, and I'm going to start creating a div element right here. and I'm going to give it an ID element so I can refer to it later. Okay. And then I'm going to specify, I'm sure you're fully aware of what div does, because if you have studied HTML, CSS before, I'm sure you've used this element, this tag many times. So it just essentially creates a sort of a container into which you can put text and style and whatever else you like. So in order to do that, I just have to refer to it using the ID that I have specified. Now I will create my script tag and put all my JavaScript D3.js into it. So we're going to use the D3.select function. I want to put all these things in the body tag, so we are going to use body. Next, we're going to do .append, and with this you can append your SVG functionality. So all the SVG functions that we did earlier can be now appended into this D3.select. Next, we are going to use the .attr, which is attribute. So with this, we will specify what should be the width of your canvas like we did before. And we will specify the height of the canvas like we also did before. And the style. Notice how I am indenting everything because all these things belong to SVG, and that's why I'm indenting that inside this append so that it's easier to read. So now the background. So once again, I'm just going to go with the same hash F4, F4, F4. I believe this is gray. And then I'll just close the bracket. You don't need to provide a semicolon here. You can you have to do that afterwards. So here my SVG tag is done. Now I want to create a rectangle. To do that, you just have to go back there and write down append and mention rectangle. So this will create a rectangle. Next, you want to specify all the things about the rectangle like we did earlier, the height, width, stroke, everything. But you will specify that as ATTR. So everything will be ATTR, as you will see now. So the width, I want 300. It's the same as before. You can verify if you have the code already written with you. So this is the width. I also want a certain height. So height is again 300. It's a sort of a square. You can specify X and Y axis. So I want the X axis to be 50. This specifies the position on the canvas. So, oh, this is supposed to be Y. So Y is also 50. Now, what you do after that, these are all attributes. But whatever you want to do about the stroke and the fill color and everything, that belongs to style. So there you have to write dot style, not dot attr. So this is dot style. And within dot style, you'll just write fill and mention the color. So I want it to be of red color, just like before. I want the stroke, that means the border around it, to be black. And I also want the thickness of the border, so stroke width to be about 4, so 4, and put a semicolon. So this is very simple, fairly simple way of using D3.js and using SVG inside. So let's just run this and see. Okay, so there's essentially some error, and I believe the error is that I have not closed my script tag. So let me just close that and run it again. Yes. So you can see this is created, and if you observe it very closely, you'll see this little bit of gray area. Actually, let me just change the color and show you what's happening here with this background. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and put the name of a color green so I can show you what that looks like. So you can see there's a green background, and the square is right in that background. So that's how you can do it. Now let's go ahead and add a circle just in the same way as we added a rectangle. So to do that, you just have to create another D3.select. So D3.select. This time you will just select SVG because you have already appended SVG. Now you don't need to call SVG all over again. You don't need to append it because it's already there. So you don't have to do body and then SVG. SVG is there. Now what do you want to do? You want to append to it a circle. So just write here append circle. Now to create a circle, I would require all these attributes. I want the position, the X and Y position, which I'm going to do with this. So let's make it 250.attr, and the Y-axis position 250 again as before, and of course the radius. So this is going to be R radius 50. Let's make it 50 this time. And dot style, and I will specify the fill color. So I want the fill to be, I want to make the circle blue this time, and I'm skipping the stroke and all. You can go ahead and add it because the main purpose here is to just show you how this can be done in this manner, in an alternative way than what we saw previously. So this is ready. Let me run it. Okay, there's some sort of an error here. I can go back and find out, or I can just right click and inspect and find out what exactly the error is by clicking here. And it says invalid or unexpected token in line 26. So let me check what that line is. Line 26 is right here. This is the token. So let me just verify my code. Yes, I do not have a single quote here. Okay. So now this is rectified. I can go back and run it, and you'll notice how this has been created. But essentially, this is going to create everything within the SVG canvas that you created. Earlier, we saw that the rectangle or square was right here, the circle was right there. But now everything is within the canvas that we specified, and this can be very helpful when you want to create graphs and bar charts, which we are going to do in the next video. So I'll see you in the next video, and thank you for watching.